backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I call this meeting of the Pittsburgh City Commission, October 12, 2021, to order. Would you join me in the flag salute? Moving on to public input, we have Linda Stotler with Grace United Methodist Church in attendance tonight. Will you please come forward and lead us in a prayer?
It's a privilege to be here to open you in prayer tonight. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to do and to grow closer as a group and to nurture the bonds of our community. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Is there any others who would like to speak in public input? Doing so, would you state your name and address and limit your time to 5 minutes, please?
Hello, my name is Ashley Bonwit. I'm a resident of Cherokee County, but I own and operate rental property here in Pittsburgh. I am here today to speak about a serious matter concerning the criminal activity in our community. This matter has become very important to me due to recent events that have taken place at one of my rentals, located at 602 North Joplin, here in Pittsburgh. Over the last year, my tenants, who are also my grandmother and aunt, have been harassed by an individual. It started with verbal harassment and then escalated to vandalism and arson. Over the last year, we have had multiple vandalisms done to vehicles and 3 fires set to the property. Each time we reported the incidents and let the present officer know that we believe to know whom the individual may be due to previous incidents and current harassment received from the individual. Not only did we feel as our pleas for help were being ignored, but we no longer felt safe in our community. After the last arson, I took it upon myself to visit our police station and asked why this matter wasn't being investigated or taken serious. I spoke to an investigator who told me due to lack of evidence, there wasn't much that they could do. After waiting a couple more days, an investigator said that he would speak with me or have somebody contact me, and I had not heard from anybody. I was fortunate enough to be referred from a friend to Commissioner Cheryl Brooks, who assisted me in getting this problem addressed by our deputy chief, who had an investigator contact me in a timely manner. Since then, an investigator has reached out and taken initiative, but the harassment continued to the point that my grandmother and aunt have left our community for their safety. While our situation is currently under control, I worry for others in our community who may not have the assistance or directions to get their voices heard, especially with the incline of criminal activity that has taken place. I would like to state that there is no animosity towards our law enforcement, that I have felt the need to bring this matter to the attention of City Commission in hopes to help our community. Thank you for your time and attention.
Could I ask you a question? Has that individual ever been arrested?
No, sir. They had asked him if he would come in for questioning, which he declined.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in public input? Seeing none, I'm going to close that portion of public input and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion?
B, C, D, E, and F on my part.
B, C, D, E, and F. And I want to remove item H. So, B, C. Well, I'll read the consent agenda, what we have left, and we'll pull everything else off and discuss it. Item A, approval of September 28th, 2021 City Commission meeting minutes. You did say C, Cheryl.
Yep, so G would be the next one.
All right, item G, approval of the order vacating a portion of Miller Drive between South Joplin Street and South English Street, submitted by Hometown Development Group LLC, and authorize the mayor to sign the order on behalf of the city. And item I, approval of appropriation ordinance for the period ending October 21st, 2021, subject to release of HUD expenditures when funds are received. Are there a motion to approve item A, item G, and item I?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second, roll call vote.
Brooks.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
McNay.
Yes.
Munsell.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
All right. Item B, approval of ordinance number G-1329, amending section 78-31 of the Code of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, and providing for the protection of public health, property, and safety, and the regulation of traffic by adopting, by reference, the 2021 edition of the Standard Traffic Ordinance for Kansas cities, as published by the League of Kansas Municipalities, save and accept such parts of the portions are supplemented, deleted, or changed, and repealing ordinance number G-1315, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city.
Would you just explain what was taken out, or, it looks like you're deleting G-1315, is that correct?
G-1315 was the ordinances as enacted last year. This year, it's going to be essentially a standard traffic offense book, and also for item C, the Uniform Public Code offense book. These reflect the updates and changes that the legislative body made last year, and we're just staying reflective of that through the
Okay.
Kansas League of Municipalities.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
And
I
this,
have a question about, on section 13A1, it says, vehicle turning right or left shall yield the right-of-way to other vehicles and to pedestrians lawfully within the intersection. Does that mean they get to hit them if they're not in the, in the,
No, this is that section's a verbal word-for-word copy of the standard traffic ordinance as presented by the Kansas League of Municipalities.
well, it seems like the lawfully, I don't know, it alludes to the fact that they should be in the crosswalk. But if they're not in the crosswalk, do you get to hit them?
That's right.
I know it's,
but if you hit him, you might or might not get a ticket.
That's certainly not the spirit of the law, I assure you.
well, I know it's not, but it
No
seems like it's
points.
not worded correctly. But never mind.
So this is something that we look at and approve each year.
Yes, this is the verbiage
Okay,
directly coming from
so-
the Kansas League of
This is
Municipalities.
an annual
Yes.
thing.
Okay. So watch out.
Well, your car's easy to see.
So is there a motion to approve item B?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and approved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item C, approval of ordinance number G-1330, amending section 54-41 of the Code of the City of Pittsburgh, regulating certain public offenses within the corporate limits of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, by adopting by reference the 2021 edition of the Uniform Public Offense Code for Kansas cities, and published by the League of Municipalities, save and accept such parts or portions as supplemented, deleted, or changed, and repealing ordinance number G-1316, and authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance on behalf of the city.
Again, I was just wondering if anything had changed from last year, even though
Well-
it's just updating, but is there
Well,
any?
again, it's updating, like for example, there would be one specifically pertaining to sexual battery, which is a misdemeanor violation we normally would have handled through our Pittsburgh Municipal Court. There's been an updated portion to that now where that requires a sexual offender registry component, which we do not handle through our court, so we'll have to send those to the county attorney's office now. So what that does is essentially, for example, repeals that law from our books.
I noticed it was criminal trespassing into Mount Olive Cemetery on last year's also.
It was.
Okay,
Yeah, that one and the skate park, concerning a specific date range and time range within that date.
those two are very hard to police.
The parks?
Oh, the skateboard park and Mount Olive after the hours.
Oh,
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I move to approve.
Been a motion, is there a second to approve item C?
Some,
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Ben.
Item D, approval of change order number 3 to the contract with Heck and Wicker for the Georgia Street Channel/Culvert project, reflecting an increase of $3,820, making the overall contract construction amount $456,650.71, and authorize the mayor to sign the change order on behalf of the city.
Hi, Matt. I was just wanting you to explain the much-needed change order and why.
So this change order reflects where we got into the North Georgia project. There was actually a bridge that went over that years ago at some point. Anyways, there was a bridge abutment on that side. And so once the contractor was doing the excavating and remove soil got into it, they had to bring in another track hoe with a hydraulic hammer and bust out that existing bridge abutment to get everything put back together. So that is what this change order is reflective of.
I appreciate that. Move to approve.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All opposed, same sign. I guess I forgot to say that. Item E, approval of change order number 4 to the contract with Heck and Wicker for the Georgia Street Channel/Culvert project, reflecting an increase of $13,235.76, making the overall contract construction amount $469,886.47. Authorize the mayor to sign the change order on behalf of the city.
I just wanted to recap on that one too, because
So this is another unforeseen condition. There was an existing storm pipe that runs from 9th Street down into the creek, and at both ends it was 24, and actually when we excavated it to tie into these curb inlets, it was a 30-inch pipe in between. Unforeseen condition, but anyways, that had to change some of our elevations, and we needed to install some risers on those curb inlets to get past that elevation change. So that's what generated this one.
move to approve.
There's been a motion to approve. Is there a
second.
Been moved to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item F, approval of change order number 5 to the contract with Heck and Wicker for the Georgia Street Channel and Culvert project, reflecting an increase of $3,256.69, making the overall contract construction amount $473,143.16, and authorize the mayor to sign the change order on behalf of the city.
This one is for the South Georgia. There's a drive that's used by 3 residences there. This was to extend that approach, the concrete approach to Georgia Street, off that drive for these residents, kind of flatten the slope out a little bit where they approach Georgia Street and made it easier for them to enter onto Georgia Street. So it's just some additional concrete.
Where are we at in this construction project, Matt?
So the South Georgia Street project, we actually have it open. It will close temporarily for a day or two. They have to saw cut and reseal the joints on the concrete down through there, but it is open. It's seated and it's complete. The North Georgia project, we are the concrete paving is complete. They are still doing a little bit of fill, and we're putting a sidewalk on the east side as part of the project. So they're wrapping that up, and then they'll have to top dress seed that project, and then seal the joints, and it'll be open as well. So we're getting real close.
So you don't foresee any more change orders to the project?
No, we're in the final phase. So
Thank you for explaining all 3 of those.
Yeah.
I
if
move
we
to,
have anything else, it's going to be something pretty minor.
Oh, you got something there?
Yeah, Matt, the total is change order is 20,000. Is that in the, what's about 5% of the original bid? Is that within range of what you normally expect? That's close.
Typically you usually allow for 10% contingency on
10%,
those
yeah.
projects.
Okay, thank you.
move to approve.
It's been moved, and is there a second to approve?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Item H, approval of staff recommendation to approve supplements to the city's copy machine agreement with Copy Product, Inc. for the renewal of the city's copier leases and service contracts in the amount of $1,276 per month for 60 months for the city's equipment and $97 per month for 60 months for equipment located at Pittsburgh Public Library, and authorize the mayor to sign the supplements on behalf of the city. Jay, I just wondered, how long have we had this contract with Copy Products?
Over 20 years, isn't it? We've worked, Copy Products has provided our copy services for over 20 years.
And it's every year, it's a 5-year extension?
We tend to get better prices if we sign up for a 5-year extension.
So do you ever bid it out to any other competitors?
What we do is, we have bid it out in the past. This year, we went out and did a quote, went out to other people and looked at, what could you provide us these services for? And Copy Products still was the cheapest and best option.
And they're a local firm?
They are.
All right. Well, that's my questions. Anybody else? Any got questions? I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jay. All right, we have some special presentations tonight. The first one is Child Care Needs Assessment. Dawn Flores on behalf of Greenbush and Ann Elliott on behalf of the Family Resource Center will present the findings of the Child Care Needs Assessment.
Good evening. Thanks for letting us come before you guys. We appreciate it. I'm Ann Elliott, and this is Dawn Flores. And Dawn she works at Greenbush. She's a project evaluator for the Center of Community Supports. What we're going to do with this presentation is we're going to do an overview of the needs assessment, some national, state, and local trends, and Crawford County cost and availability, and some economic considerations with this. The needs assessment, I wrote a grant through the All In for Kansas Kids, and it is funded by the Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund. And what we wanted out of that piece was a comprehensive assessment of need and capacity, local survey data, and economic considerations for child care in Crawford County. We already know a needs exist. This is the data that's going to back up those needs. So we've known this for a long time, but this is just going to give us some data for that. So some of the types of child care that we considered in this was family and group child care homes. So they operate as a small business, almost always within the provider's residence. We looked at child care centers and preschools. They operate as a nonprofit or for-profit business, and they're usually not inside a home. And then Head Start, which is a comprehensive education through federal funding administered by a local agency. We did not look at illegal or unlicensed child care. That is not reflected in the study. And that is child care that somebody is just doing out of their home that has not been licensed through the health department. And now Dawn's going to take over.
Let me ask you a question on that. If, say, a mom and dad works and their parents, grandmother or grandfather, takes care of the kids, that wouldn't be illegal, would it? Okay.
So what is illegal?
So if you're watching kids other than your own, or
I think it's more than
relative.
20
Yeah.
hours a week.
Yeah.
It's pretty stringent. I don't
It
remember
is.
it off the top of my head.
but they're grandma and grandpa are okay. But if you start adding in other kids within that, then it becomes unlicensed, which just means it's not regulated, and your house hasn't been checked for safety and all of the things
Right.
that we need to provide care,
Right.
quality care to kids.
And somebody comes down from the state and inspects these child cares.
There's actually somebody out of the health department that does that. It's our local person, and she comes and does inspections on new and existing facilities every year. An existing facility gets a visit, whether it's a home or a center.
So are there any other questions? Okay. So I'm just going to visit with you a little bit about national, state, and local trends. There is some national data that we thought you might find quite interesting. First of all, 67% of children under 6 have all available parents in the workforce. So we're looking at a considerably large size of the population. The chart that you see on...
Yeah.
Oh, are they not working? Oh my goodness, what are we
Chart that
supposed to do?
you don't see.
I'm moving them along.
Help is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. I am so sorry, Ann, they did not see any of your stuff.
They heard me.
I have a lot of charts. You're going to need to see these. I can explain
That
them
should
to
be
you,
your-
but it won't be nearly as much
I
fun.
There you
probably
go.
had no charts.
You wanted to just click on that. Good to go.
Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can't just make this work.
Okay.
Okay, so here's Ann's part, as we're gonna pass through. Okay, so this is the chart that I was referring to. What this chart shows you is the number of childcare centers nationally that serve the various age groups. One thing that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight really is infant and toddler care. And if you look at the chart, you'll notice on that first chart says infants. You've got a high density area on the left, moderate density in the middle, and rural area on the right. Those are the percentage of childcare centers that serve each age group. So in the moderate density and the rural areas, you can see high density, moderate, and rural. There really is a lot fewer slots and fewer people providing that type of care. And then if you look at infants and toddlers, you'll see that number still somewhat in the middle because a few of them will take toddlers. But then over there on the right-hand side, a lot of the facilities take preschoolers. And that's because preschoolers are less expensive to care for than infants and toddlers, and so it's easier to go ahead and make budget with that. When you have infants and toddlers, you lose money, and there's just not a lot that anyone can do about that. Okay. So this slide just shows the Kansas capacity over the last several years. So you'll see total facilities have decreased from 2015 to 2019 by 941 facilities. And when we talk about capacity, we're talking about childcare slots, not children. So if you think about one childcare center that has 24 slots, they may be able to fit in a half-day preschooler and then a preschooler in the afternoon. But we're talking about slots when we talk about capacity. And we've lost 2,349 slots in Kansas. I will tell you that the data that I'm presenting is from the needs assessment. And this needs assessment was completed earlier this year. I've kind of been watching capacity and it's continuing to decline. So the numbers are actually, unfortunately, worse than they were last year or earlier this year when we completed the assessments. So when you're looking at capacity, again, it's important to think about the different age groups. So of all of the slots that are available in Kansas, only 10% of those are for infants, and 22% of those are for toddlers. Then we've got a few more, obviously, for preschoolers, because again, they're cheaper to care for because you can have more in a classroom with a teacher. And then 41% of those are school age. Now, the school age number might be surprising to some, but likely what that is based on the other data and the other information that the other projects I've done are we have the urban areas have a lot of boys and girls clubs, YMCAs, and some of those are very sizable, and they serve a large after-school program population or summer population, and they are regulated by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. So that 41% is a lot of those boys and girls clubs and YMCAs and all of those other facilities that provide that much needed support to the children in the community while parents are working. So a little bit more about capacity. Of the 105 counties in Kansas, there were 18 counties that did not have any openings for infant and toddler care. So these are families that are really at a loss. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh is not one of those, but finding infant and toddler care in Pittsburgh is difficult. But at least there are some openings sometimes in Pittsburgh. There are 41 counties that fell below what we call 50% of desired capacity, which means that 1 out of 2 children don't have a place to go in their county. And again, this is Kansas, this is not Crawford. And I will be talking about Crawford here in just a moment, though. Another thing that is very, very important to Kansas families is the cost of childcare. So this is, there are 4 charts. The top chart is if you are a 2-parent income and you have an infant. So an average in Kansas of your income would be 14.6% of your income would be caring for that infant. Now the upper right-hand corner is if you were a single parent and you had an infant. So that jumps from 14.6 to 48.1, and they are using the household income for, with the household income for those with families in Kansas. And that lower, if you look at the lower left hand, that's if you have two children. So if you have an infant and a preschooler, and you have two parents working, you're looking at 24.8%. And if you're a single income earner and you have two children, you can be looking up to 84% of your income. So this is a substantial amount of money. When you're talking about Crawford County, the mean income is a little lower. It's about 40,000 and some versus 55,000 at the state level. But the cost for childcare in Crawford County is also slightly lower than that of the state. Actually, in some places, a lot lower than that of the state. But these are state numbers here. Okay, so I'd like to just, if you don't have any questions about the state data, I'll quickly review the regional availability. Okay. All right. So these charts specifically show capacity over time for Southeast Kansas. So the chart on the left is the number of child care centers in Southeast Kansas. In 2017, there were 27. In 2019, there were 26. So we just lost one in the region, which is not ideal, but better than one, better than more than that. The number of family child care providers in Southeast Kansas, you'll see, has dropped from 299 to 267. And again, I've noticed this year that number seems to be dropping as well, so it may be a little worse than when we did complete this report. So now we're going to talk about Crawford County, because that's why we're here, right? These are the numbers of child care facilities in Crawford County in 2018 and 2019. And the family child care providers had actually at the time had increased by one. They now have actually lowered by several. The last I looked, we'd lost 4 or 5, I think. So we're down a few. And then the child care centers have remained steady at 7. You'll notice that the number that they're willing to accept, even though that there are slightly more, is actually lower, which is very interesting. And then the last row is the extent that desired capacity meets demand. And I don't know if you recall earlier, but I had mentioned that there were a lot of communities that had less than 50% availability. Our community currently, as of this report, had 65%, which means that there still are quite a few children that don't have a place to go, that need child care in our community. So what we did was, since we didn't have any data at the time on how COVID could potentially be affecting the community and the child care providers, we worked with the Family Resource Center and our local department. They were gracious enough to help us out and provide a survey to the child care providers in the community to just find out a little bit about the current capacity post-COVID. How many did they want? How many are they serving? And so we did a little survey. And if you look at that left side, you'll see we said, okay, so of the children birth to 12 months, before COVID, how many slots did you want? How many children did you want to serve? And then that second bar that says 73, those were the desired slots during COVID. So we looked at pre-COVID and during COVID. And you can see that we went from 97 to 73. And then that third bar that says 101 at the top, those were the actual slots. So we said, well, how many were you serving? They were serving 101. And once COVID began, they started serving around 62. So you can see that COVID actually decreased, not only did we, the child care providers we had in the community, but they were serving less and wanting to serve less. So that's something that's really important for us to consider when we're looking at official capacity numbers. Just because they can serve a child in their care does not necessarily mean that they're actually serving that many children. They may be choosing to serve fewer, and that's what the data is showing. So it's something really to consider. And then that chart on the right is just 13 to 30 months. So we asked, what about, tell us about your infants and tell us about your toddlers.
Excuse me, Dawn, one
Yes.
second.
Sure.
This 101 bar and the 62 bar on the left.
I did something.
You're saying they're not servicing the 101. Is that because of a decrease in the desire of people to bring their children the mothers perhaps are not working and so they're keeping them at home? Is that what
We-
you owe that to?
It appeared to be a combination of factors. So there are the instances where parents are not comfortable taking their children to childcare. There's instances where parents are working remotely, and then there are also instances where childcare providers are not comfortable providing the level, serving the number of children that they had served previously because because of close contact and the additional cleaning that's required and all of those types of things.
So it's a combination.
I believe so. Ann, do you have anything you'd like to share? Ann's in very, very close touch with providers in the
Right.
community.
It's a lot of all of that combined, but there were a lot of distancing.
If you speak, you need to come up to the podium.
Oh,
so the
sorry.
people-
I didn't
so the
know
people
that.
at
I wouldn't
home
have
can
asked her.
Hear you.
There were a lot of recommendations from the state, and, a lot of that was social distancing and other things providers had to do. So some of them did choose to take fewer numbers at the time, and are still doing that.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Dawn, go ahead.
It's okay. I won't ask Ann any more questions until we bring her back up. So then we also wanted to just share with you a little bit about the cost for Crawford County. So as of September 2020, the CCC means Child Care Center, and the FCC is Family Child Care. So the average cost for an infant in a child care center in Crawford County is $133 a week. I do believe that's went up slightly. I think there's been a slight adjustment in that.
Just to clarify, that's charge. That's what the fees, that's not cost.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say cost?
No.
It's what it costs to.
It says cost, but it's not what the cost is, it's the parent fee.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So the cost to the parent is $133 a week. The cost to the facility is not $133 a week. And then you're looking at infant care at $102 a week for family child care. And then for toddlers, we've got $122 and $96.
Going back to, and you don't have to, but.
Oh, no, sure.
When you was talking about a single parent trying to have children in
Right.
childcare, it makes you wonder how they can do it, the cost that it has.
There are some facilities that have sliding scale. There are also, DCF also has some programs that are available that families can access if they do qualify. Sometimes there are some barriers to that. Not all families are able to receive that assistance. But there is some assistance, but regardless, it's tough. It's really
Right.
tough. Absolutely. So Imagine Pittsburgh 2030 did a survey. This is from 2018, but it was the latest data that we had, and we thought it was pretty fascinating. They were gracious enough to provide us with their information on the child care study. And so this chart here just shows the age ranges of care that frustrate their employees. You can see on the left-hand side, you've got infants. 90% of employers said that infants were a source of frustration as far as being able to provide care. And then you've got young toddlers, 67.5, young children, which are more like the older toddlers, and then you've got preschool age, 31%. So even preschoolers, 1/3 of their employees were frustrated with the child care. And that's really focused on availability. And so just a couple of other quick charts about that. Employees, the one on the left-hand side is frustration with the lack of available childcare, and 81% of employees and their employers believe are frustrated with the lack of available care. And 84% of employers said that they believe that childcare issues have caused absenteeism with their employees. So it is an economic development issue as well. And the last slide that I'm going to share with you before Ian comes back up is the economic perspective. So a couple of other things that we learned was that 65% of jobs in Pittsburgh were filled by commuters, and often they bring their children with them. So not only do we have the children in our community, but we have the people who work in our community that need childcare as well. We also found that there's some additional housing growth that's been projected and planned. And so all of this really just equals the need for even more childcare capacity. So when we look at the fact that we already have a capacity issue, combined with the fact that we think it may be greater, it's something that we wanted to just visit with you about and make sure that you knew, and then also know that if you have questions, there are people that you can visit with a little more about that issue. So Ann, would you like to?
I'm going
to finish it up?
I'm gonna do the last slide and finish it up. So just gonna go over a little bit of the current childcare expansion activity that's going on right now in our community. Imagine Pittsburgh has really helped spur this on, just because this is one of their things they're working towards is to increase childcare availability. The Family Resource Center is working with USD 250 to expand childcare and pre-kindergarten spots with an expanded facility. And our project is in the early stages. We have some renditions, and so we're getting ready to move forward to do some other things. And Dr. Jackie Eustace is exploring an employer-sponsored model for a child care center. Victory Life Center, or Victory Life Church, is close to opening a center for toddlers. Some of that initial funding was provided by the center through a state grant that we get. We help a lot of child care providers in the area. So through the Early Childhood Block Grant, we were able to help assist them with equipment and stuff that they need. So we've got some things going on right now. So we're pretty excited. Now's the time. It feels like the right time to start moving forward with all of the building expansion that's going on, housing in the city, all of that, so.
So if, say, all three of these come to pass, will that solve the childcare problem we have in?
It will help. I mean, not one facility can do it all.
Exactly.
The center can't do it all. Dr. Eustace's facility won't be able to do it all. It has to be a community project, everybody working together. I'm currently working with some providers with another grant that I have here in Crawford County with some home providers, trying to get them to take some additional infants because I have a subsidy that I can give them for taking on additional infants. So we're all working together to try to figure this out.
Sounds good.
I think with your expansion, with the other two that are looking at this project, is that going to cover the total need?
I don't believe so.
The other thing you need to keep in mind is that infants and toddlers have to be subsidized. So nobody is going to be able to move forward unless they figure out a model for subsidy. Right now, the center gets a significant state grant that covers the cost for infants and toddlers. But that's the community rub, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the
Thank you.
information.
I don't know if that's supposed to be up there or not, but I'm walking away quiet.
All right, we have our next presentation, citywide bulky item pickup program. Deputy City Manager Jay Byers will provide information regarding the upcoming citywide bulky item pickup program. Hi, Jay. I'm Matt.
What's happening? So we have launched a bulk item pickup for Saturday, October 23rd. That will be all large items. We are partnering with, we'll have city staff. I've got 5 dump trucks, 3 trailers, maybe another one set up. We're partnering with, there's 3 local congregations that's agreed to sponsor with some volunteers to help us load these items into the back of our trucks, and we'll supply the equipment and vehicles to take to our drop-off locations. We're going to set up some dumpsters in the lot across from the YMCA, and then another 2 over at Research Road so we can get to them quicker. Citizens are, we've set out some press releases, but for citizens, you can go to our webpage, and if you scroll down to, just scroll just a little bit, there is an icon right there about the pickup, and you can click into it. We are asking all citizens to sign up using our C-Click Fix app. That allows us to, so when we started this idea of what we were going to do, it's kind of like price in a cloud, what's it worth? And how do you capture it? So what we've done is we've asked everyone to log in and register on our C-Click Fix app. Now you can do that from your smartphone, your tablet, using a desktop computer, or if you choose not to use that option, you can call our customer service line on the 231-4100, and one of our customer service representatives will walk you through the process and get you accounted for. That looks like there's, some of the stuff that we're accepting, mattresses, recliners, refrigerators, appliances. We are taking tires because of the fact that the county does a waste tire grant and we can take those back over to the county. I've reached out to the recycling center. If we get enough refrigerators, appliances, those type of things, we'll take those directly to the recycling center and contribute to their program in that regard. Some stuff that we will not take, limbs or brush, household trash or waste, carpets, flooring, electronic waste, or any kind of construction debris. Those are just, you can't handle them. We're looking for just strictly items that a group of individuals can pick up quickly and throw into the back of a truck, and we'll move along our way. Any questions along what we take, what we won't take that I can answer? So if you go in, so as of right now, we have 98 users signed up. I kind of reflected, that's kind of what it looks like in town. As you scroll in, you can see how it divides out, and we've got the city divided up into zones for the teams. I'm planning on 8 teams and to go around the city to pick these up. Really, any of your information that you provide, this will not be public facing. So we ask you your water account and an email and a contact phone number. That will not be public facing. After we fill it out, it's only internal. So that information is private only to us. And we ask you for that information just so we have a good contact and to verify, you are a citizen of Pittsburgh. This is confined within the city limits of Pittsburgh, specifically within the boundaries of Centennial to Atkinson, bypass to Free Kings, really, is what we're looking at. Citizens can, it will be open for sign up until close of business on Wednesday, October 20th. At that time, we will take it offline, so no one else will be able to sign up after that point, and that allows me a couple days to decipher through the information, figure out how to coordinate where the best to, if I need to, focus on certain areas and certain teams to facilitate. Anybody that does not register and put something out to the curb, we will not pick up. It is only registered items, so if you have something that needs to go curbside, please call in or sign up and register, because we will not pick up after that time. Anything not registered that is set out and left we'll have our codes people come by and give you a friendly reminder that we're not coming back and those kind of things.
Matt, are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
discouraging people to come directly to the dumpsters?
Yes. So they can, but if they do, we need them to bring a water bill with them and a driver's license so we can verify. The reason I'm discouraging that is because I don't need everyone in the county
Right.
coming. The second Saturday of the month, the county hosts a large item drop off where you could take it to the recycling center and have it dropped off there, which would be this upcoming weekend. So if you have something that you would like to haul somewhere, the recycling center will have their bulk item pickup not pickup, but bulk item drop off on the second Saturday of the month.
And you're gonna just go through once?
Yes,
So when
this is
you're
a
at that
this is
address,
a
you
one-time
pick-
event.
Yeah.
One-time event. Like I said, we've got the congregation. The congregations are going to help provide the manpower to pull this off, and then we may get some participation with PSU as well.
So if anybody else wanted to participate, they just need to call City Hall and talk to you?
Yeah, if you'd like to be a volunteer, yeah, give me a holler, and we'll get you in a team. We will meet up the morning of the 23rd at the YMCA site, and then we will disperse from there. And we're looking for basically carloads of 4 to carpool behind our trucks and follow, and then we'll just go to a stop. Everybody hops out, throws it in the truck, and we go to the next one.
Chinese fire.
Well, I think maybe that might encourage people to call you and come pick up some of their stuff, and, hopefully it will.
Yeah.
Make the city look a little better, when we do it.
I don't, would you like me to walk through a request, or I don't know if I hit all the topics, but I think any other questions that I can answer for
Sure,
you
the
tonight?
C-click fix, how to do it on, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Sure.
My view may be slightly different because I'm in my own. You can click on a new request. You can type in your address. It will go to that location. You confirm it. There's a category. You go to the bottom and bulk item pickup. You select that category. It will give you feel free to type in a description, enter your water account, enter your contact information and email. Then you can select what items you need to be picked up. That way we have a general idea of what we're after. You will have to check mark a box that say you agree you will not put out anything that we said you can't put out. And then you will submit it, and it will log the request. It should give you an email that says your request is received, but you won't see it on the general map or screen of request, like you see potholes and other things.
So you have 90-some signed up
I
already?
got 98 as of 3 minutes ago, or however long I've been up
So
here.
there could be some more, and do you anticipate that all this can be done in one day?
You know what? We're gonna find out.
Sounds good.
Matt, I note that you have limbs and brush is not on this, but they can take limbs and brush, you know,
The
every month.
burn site currently,
Burn site is open, right?
or you can call the Parks Department and they will help coordinate opening the gate at the burn site
Because
for
a
you
lot of
during the
limbs
week.
down after that wind the other night, a lot out, so they can still do that, you know,
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah, it's still open the second Saturday of every month in the
Right.
morning.
Okay.
You can get out there and haul it, or if you need a special arrangement for the gate to be open, or you can call the Parks Department and coordinate that, and they'll help you get the gate open so you can take it out and deliver.
We're looking forward to a clean city.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt, for all your work.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Moving on to consider the following. Item A, request to change zoning. Consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission / Board of Zoning Appeals to approve the request submitted by Scannell Properties Number 568 LLC to change the zoning of certain areas located at 770 East 400th Highway from CP3 Planned Highway Service Commercial to IP-2 Planned Medium Industrial.
Mayor, Commissioners, we received a request to rezone 36.73 acres west of the casino there from, as you stated, planned commercial to medium industrial. Planning Commission approved 7-0.
No issues from anyone?
No, there was a question from an individual to the west brother, but that problem, or not problem, that question has been
Okay.
answered and resolved.
Great.
It's been resolved, you said?
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
Questions?
Quentin?
If there's no other questions, I move approval.
Second.
If, I move, all in favor say aye.
Hi.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Quentin.
Yep.
Item B, a variance, Matthew Kern, 603 Thomas. Consider the recommendation of the Planning Commission / Board of Zoning Appeals to approve the variance at 603 Thomas submitted by Matthew Kern to construct a 30 by 40 foot detached garage.
So we had received a variance request from Mr. Curran to add a 1,200 square foot garage instead of the allowable 900. He does have definitely enough space to build this garage. There's no impediment to the neighbors around and no issues from anyone around.
You said this is gonna be 1,200 square feet,
Yeah,
and what is, code?
900.
900.
Yeah.
When we do this kind of thing, do we notify, the neighbors that this is, in the works?
Yes,
We do, okay,
Yep.
good. We haven't had any issue from that.
no.
Great.
Is there any other questions about this? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Clinton.
Thank you.
Item C, partial mortgage release, Silverback Housing Development. Consider the staff recommendation to approve a partial release of mortgage document on lot number 13, 1823 Silverback Way, located in the Silverback Housing Development as GN Bank, the primary lender for the project, took first position on the loan, with the city securing a second position on the P&L property until the loan is repaid in December 2023.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. As you stated, the next two items are partial mortgage release request related to the Silverback development. For those maybe that have not seen this done in other commission meetings, the city currently has a loan to P&L Development for the Silverback development. While that loan is being paid off, the city maintains a second position. So when one of our local lending institutions is working on a loan for a lot within the Silverback development, they bring us a request that we first bring to the EDAC, the Economic Development Advisory Committee. They then recommend approval of removing that second mortgage to the City Commission. So the first request we bring you tonight is a request from GN Bank. It's for Lot 13, which contains an existing model home within the Silverback development. They provided the necessary paperwork. The EDAC unanimously recommended approval of that, and so we would bring that to you for your consideration here tonight.
Are there any questions for Blake? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And move in second?
Second.
Second.
You pick.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Blake. Item C. Item D, partial mortgage release and waivers of right of repurchase Silverback Housing Development. Consider staff recommendation to approve partial release of a mortgage documents and waivers of rights of repurchase. Lot number 7, lot number 9, and lot number 14 in Silverback Landing, located in Silverback Housing Development as RS Bank, the primary lender for the project, took first position on the loan, with the city securing the second position on the P&L property until the loan is repaid in December 2023.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request from, as you mentioned, Security First Title. This involves 3 different lots that are being proposed for construction loans that Security First is closing. Those lots are 7, 9, and 14 within the Silverback development.
Are there any questions for Blake? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you
Blake.
very much.
Item E, 2021 auditing contract. Consider staff request to engage the firm of Barbridge, Trahan and Company, PA, for the fiscal year 2021 city audit at a cost of $40,000.
All right, good evening,
Melissa,
Mayor
good
and
evening.
Commissioners. Every year, the city has our financial statements audited. 2 years ago, we went out for bid and awarded a 5-year contract through Burbidge and Trahan. Tonight, I'm here for approval of the 2021 engagement letter from them, and if approved, they plan to start their field work at the end of November.
Are there any questions on this?
Is there fee increase?
It went up by $1,000.
Any changes to our contract?
You said this was when we just did this?
We
one?
went it was 2019, and we went for a 5-year contract with them. And it does increment by $1,000 each year.
Any further questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So
Item
moved.
E. Then, is there a second? Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Larissa.
Mayor, real quick, since we're on the subject, today is Larissa's birthday.
Happy birthday. We should sing to her.
So properly embarrass her. So
All right, well, happy birthday.
Joella can sing.
anyway, I didn't want that opportunity to pass. Happy birthday, Larissa.
Party after the meeting.
Item F, City Works Aztec Systems LLC software license and maintenance agreement. Consider staff recommendation to enter into a software license and maintenance agreement with Aztec Systems LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, for the purchase of CityWorks PLL software to support permitting, licensing, and inspection staff and processes.
Mayor, Commissioners, one of the, I think, at your initiation, you suggested that we provide support for our plan, or permitting, licensing, and inspection staff. We went through an entire process, a formal RFQ process, that's request for quotation. We looked at, there were 7 respondents to our request. We analyzed all of those respondents, and the CityWorks product is the one that was selected by our selection group. They did provide the best option for us. We already own the CityWorks software, and this would be an additional module to CityWorks. This particular contract is for the actual licensing of the software. The next one we're going to talk about is the implementation of this system. Okay.
So what's the cost for this?
This is about $42,000 a year to license the software. That's how, you don't buy software anymore, you just license it, and it's $42,000 a year.
A year, is it 1 year at a?
We have this for 3 years.
So 3 years.
Have we contacted other municipalities that have used this?
Yes, that was part of the due diligence. This particular company and this particular module is used by many different organizations, and we've gotten good reports back from them.
So Jay, on page 95, I think we're still under the Aztec. It says that the schedule of payments or fee is $83,000.
Yeah, that is a little confusing. We already own the CityWorks software, and the way Aztec likes to do it is combine both of them under one contract. So instead of having 2 separate contracts for the CityWorks software and the permitting software, they combine them into one. $42,000 of that is the permitting and licensing software. The rest is the software we already own that we're going to continue to pay.
So once it's in place, how much trouble is this going to be for the guys to learn?
It's not a small thing. This is a significant application, and it is definitely going to change the process that they use. The next contract that's on the agenda is for a company that will come in and help us implement it, as well as train the people, set up our systems, the technical systems, to make sure that it works well. We have some data that we're going to have to exchange between, say, our financial management system. They're going to help us with that process as well. So it's not going to be a small thing. It'll take months for them to get comfortable with it. We'll probably run our 2 systems parallel for a period of time, and then we'll switch over probably, depending on how well it goes, probably in the middle of next year.
So running them parallel to each other, is it going to cause more of a headache for these guys to start with?
I wish I could say it wouldn't be. It's definitely a bit of an effort on the staff's part. There's no question about that. It always is when you change over your software system.
Sure.
But it's safer to do it that way. That way you're covered, making sure you're covering everything that needs to be covered, not missing anything.
Sure. Hopefully it'll help them greatly.
So what's the output of this? Like after a year, what does this accomplish?
What it's going to do is streamline the permitting, licensing, and inspection processes that we have. Right, right now, we have several different systems that the staff has to go in and out of on a long time. One of them we actually kind of developed in-house. So this is a system that has been developed and refined by multiple organizations, by a well-known software company for many years, way more streamlined. All the records are going to be in a single system, right? That they can, and the staff is going to only have to learn one system and can use that system as their line of business application going forward.
How hard is it going to be to transfer the records of what already exists over to this?
That's always a question you have to decide on. In all honesty, because we have multiple systems using multiple different data formats, we think it's best if we just isolate those systems, keep those for our historical records, all right, and then start anew with a new system. All right. There's a lot of different ways of doing this, but the best way to do it is to start brand new with a new system.
So are you able to transfer like all those maps and things that are from way back when?
Well, we wouldn't be transferring that. We'd keep that in the older systems, and
Oh.
we'd keep the older systems,
Okay.
right? The new stuff, the new process going forward would all be documented in every aspect in this new system.
You'd be surprised how much of that you use in a year's time.
Well, they'll definitely go back to the older systems from time to time, there's no question about that, but we'll keep those.
They'll
Yeah.
have access to that. You
Oh,
just
yes.
pick a date.
I sure hope it helps them, like I said, it streamlining it, like you said, and just making it simpler, but it's still necessary.
I know you went to one of the sessions at the
Oh,
League
yeah.
of Kansas Municipalities on those processes, and they're very involved. The amount of work that they have to do is really kind of overwhelming in a lot of ways, and the only way they can really stay on top of it is to have a system that's streamlined, where they can work all together in the same system and really maintain that process and those records in one place. Typically, you spend money on software systems so you don't have to hire more staff. They will be more effective employees, more effective at their jobs with this system in the end.
What kind of IT resources are we gonna need to get this?
Well, that's why I brought Jeff.
Jeff's magic wand.
Jeff wanted to talk, so that's why I asked him.
As far as system requirements, not a lot. I mean, we've already got the data center, we've already got CityWorks up and running. It's just a additional process that runs on it. So we're not talking about procuring more software or hardware or anything like that. During the implementation process, yeah, we'll work hand over hand with, Dexter and Quentin's crews for the next however long it takes so that we can really, integrate all of these systems as streamlined as possible so they can be effective in the field.
And will this streamline your process with only one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right now we manage 6 or 7, systems that are deprecated, and we're keeping them alive as best as we can. And it causes a lot of, problems for the staff. So it's a lot of resources to make that keep afloat. This system, no, it'll be pretty simple after that.
How long do you anticipate the training to be?
I think 1 full year. I mean, realistically, 6 months in, we're going to be very effective at what we're doing. It's a whole culture change for the crew, working from a tablet in the field rather than 6 or 7, some paper systems and so forth. Realistically, I think you'll see 1 year from now, everybody won't even be able to turn around. This is just the way you do it moving forward.
Well, during all that training, you still got to do everything else.
Absolutely.
How does that happen? Everybody trained at the same time, or intervals?
It's hand over hand training. So the next item on the agenda with New Edge, they will come in and they will work with the staff on how to define these processes, workflows, and so forth. And it's just hand over hand. It's not like we need to shut everything down for 30 days and just spend 30 days to learn how to do this. They'll have a hand in designing how it works. So there will be ownership in it that way, which should make it easier, I think.
What's the situation with redundancy or safeguarding against hacking, that kind of thing?
This system is protected within our data center, which already is soon to be our disaster recovery site that you guys approved. We're moving well ahead on that. We're about 85% complete. On that, we're actually protecting most of the data center. Currently, we're just not comfortable with, all the bugs and the training with that. So it is fully redundant within that. This would be a mission critical app as it's supported for, Matt Bacon's crews for asset management, work orders. So it's immediately, and the fact that it's integrated with the finances, you just can't play games with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Moving to item G, New Ed Services LLC, Master Agreement for Material and Services. Consider staff recommendation to enter into a master agreement for material and services with New Ed Services LLC for the implementation of CityWorks PLL software to support permitting, licensing, and inspection staff and processes.
This is the other one-time aspect of this is the implementation process. We actually were quite pleased that New Edge is the contractor for this. They have a specialization with CityWorks. We actually use New Edge to implement the CityWorks application. They are very competent. I've worked with a lot of software implementation companies, and they are as good as I've seen. All right? And we're happy to get them to participate in this process. We already know the people who are going to be involved. They're competent, and we have a lot of confidence in their ability to implement it properly. They also have, to answer kind of a question you had earlier, I think, Mayor, is that they know that their operations can't stop while they're implementing this. So New Edge will make sure that through their scheduling, they're still going to be able to do their jobs while they're getting trained, while they're learning this new system. And they'll slowly make sure that happens in the way it needs to happen.
Where are they out of, Jay? You know?
Texas.
Is it
Texas?
Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
They're here frequently?
Not any longer. They were when we initiated the CityWorks project.
And then they'll be here for this.
They'll be here for this.
And so they're familiar with Pittsburgh and.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They like chicken Marys.
So that pricing on page 116 says $85.80?
That's the one-time implementation cost. It's likely that we may use their services in the future, but this contract is a master services contract that we may add some services if that need arises.
Any other questions?
If there's no other questions, I move approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jay. Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Moving on to item H, City Manager's Annual Evaluation / Goals. Consider adopting a procedure regarding the City Manager's Annual Performance Evaluation and review of Letter of Agreement. All right.
So I submitted this to Chuck to add to our agenda. I know that when I came on the commission, and maybe I can speak for Cheryl too, that there was some confusion on your role as a new commissioner. And potentially there could be 3 new people sitting here in December. So in terms of transparency, not only to the commission and to the position of the city manager and citizens, I felt maybe it would be good to, what we've done the last couple of years, to kind of proceduralize and formalize it. So this is kind of the timeline that we have worked under the last 2 years, especially with new commissioners being seated in December. So, and this also will help, mayors to figure out, or so they don't have to figure out what is the evaluation process, and we have it written down. So certainly open to any edits or changes, but as I said, this is kind of what we've done the last couple of years, and I thought it would be helpful just to formalize it.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I have a question, number 3 in the procedure. It says, no later than the day prior to the commission meeting scheduled to review the evaluation. When is that?
Well, we have to have it done by, we have to have that completed by the 30th, so it's gonna be.
So it should be the second meeting in December? Is that
No, we need to get this done, because new commissioners are seated the first meeting of December.
Oh, they
We
are?
changed that 2 years
Okay.
ago.
Yes.
We have to have this portion of the process, I feel, by the end of November.
Sure.
Because this would be the group that has set the goals and worked with the city manager. So I think in the past, Henry's given us a lot of grace in order to get our informations back to him the day before the meeting.
Let's do this, so people in the audience can maybe follow along what we're talking about, or somebody that might be listening from home. So the procedure is the timeline. Number 1, the commission will complete the performance evaluation process for the city manager by November 30th of each year. So you're talking, like you said, Don, the current commission here, we evaluate the city manager by the 30th. Henry will get whatever we need before the 30th, and this commission, it could be different people, like you said, after December, November.
Right.
Whenever the election is. Okay. Item 2, the city manager's annual goals will be established with the commission by January 31st of each year. I have a question on that. So the goals, say one of us is no longer a commissioner. So the goals with the new,
Patrick.
so Patrick won't be, but who knows? You guys will probably be back, I don't know. But if you're not, would we include the newly elected commissioners in the goal setting for the following year?
That was my intent, I guess, because that would be the body that would be working with the city manager that next year, so the new commissioners.
Everybody all right with that? Sounds good. Item 3, the city manager will periodically report to the commission on the status and progress of the goals to include the May commission work session. I know we've done that for a number of years in May. What I'd like to see, and that's, we set the goals in January, and May is 4 months later, to see where we're at on the goals that we've set. I'd like to see maybe do that again in September, and it doesn't have to be a work study session. Could we not do it at a commission meeting in September, and Darren could tell us where we're at on what goals?
I mean, we can be that specific. The reason I put will periodically report and to include the May was to, because as goals are met, I mean, there may not be a certain date when a goal needs to be reported on. It could be, so we can be that specific, or we can leave it open-ended, periodically report.
What do you think?
I like periodically, because you can give an update anytime something major happens.
So we don't have to have the September date?
I don't think we, in my opinion, no.
I agree.
Cheryl?
Doesn't matter to me.
All right, well, that sounds good. Procedure, the city manager's accomplishments, goals, and objectives will be submitted to the city attorney by November 5th. So Darren sends his stuff to Henry by November 5th. Is that what I'm reading?
Yes.
And then the city attorney will submit to the commission the following documents for the evaluation process. A, city manager's report on accomplishments, goals, and objectives. B, performance evaluation tool with the commission's evaluation summary. C, imagine Pittsburgh goals. And D, city manager's letter of agreement. How does that sound?
I have no issue.
All right. Nobody? Good. Fine. The commission will return the completed evaluation tool to the city attorney no later than the day prior to the commission meeting scheduled to review the evaluation. And what did we say that day was? November 30th?
Well, I mean, in theory, it would be the second meeting of November.
Yes.
But there may have to be some adjustment on our meeting with Thanksgiving. That's why I just put, I mean, the final day would be November 30th. It would just depend on what day we meet.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So if it needs to be reworded to make it clearer.
So if we got that, say if it was November 30th, the day before we do the evaluation, would Henry have time to get all of our evaluations tabulated and?
In the past, luckily, some commissioners have gotten them back to me well in advance
I
of
would
that
like to
date.
see
And so
that.
that makes it much easier on my staff and I to get the final product done. It hasn't been a problem in the past, just because commissioners have, some of them have been very prompt in getting that.
Well, I'd like to see that in a more of an advance than the day before.
So no later than 3 days, 5
It
days?
does say no later than, so.
So it's really a due date.
From my perspective, I would be, a couple of days would be nice, just to.
3, 5, 7,
3?
pick a number, Larry.
I'd be fine with 3, yeah.
Henry, give us the number.
Yeah,
5 days in
No,
advance?
3 is fine.
3's fine?
So
Okay.
then number 3 would read, the commissioners will
Okay.
return the completed evaluation tool to the city attorney no later than 3 days prior to the commission meeting scheduled to review the evaluation. Okay.
Everybody?
Good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Number 4.
Thank you, Patrick.
That's your place.
The city attorney will complete the results of the commission's evaluation, which he always does. But,
Oh, sorry.
is that all right?
No, that's right. It was the next one that.
The mayor will schedule an executive session to review and discuss the city manager's performance evaluation results goals and a review of the letter of agreement and to allow for the comprehensive discussion.
So now that I read this, I have a typo for one thing. The other thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be an executive, yes, it does, executive session, never mind.
Yes.
Sorry.
And what day are we talking that will be?
Well, that would
Be
be,
before
Be the last meeting in November, wouldn't it?
so it'd be added, you would just have to add to the last meeting whenever we're gonna talk about it, an executive session.
everybody in agreement on that?
Yes.
All right. Number 6, the city attorney will present the evaluation results to the city manager. Number 7, the mayor will schedule an executive session in January to include the city manager to finalize the annual goal. So once again, if anybody's new on the commission, they will be included in that executive session. The city manager's letter of agreement shall be approved no later than January of each year. Sounds good?
Sounds good to me.
I, for one, am happy that Dawn has taken the initiative to spell this out, because it is difficult when you do not know coming in what the process is. And Patrick and you have been on there a long time, and you too. Larry and I didn't know, and I know for one, I'm glad. Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, you're welcome.
You got all that down, Henry?
So the only change we made was on number 3, changing,
To 3 days?
yeah,
And then the typo, which you
and the
said.
typo, and the typo. The absence of an R.
If there's no other questions, I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for approval of the annual performance evaluation review and letter of agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Don.
Yep, you're welcome.
Non-agenda reports and requests.
We just have one. We have a growing need in their community and our industries for materials and extra space, so we're seeing some growth out there. We have a building that we have in the Northeast Industrial Park, which is the old Roll Source building, is how a lot of people know it. It's 40,000 square feet on about 4 acres. I've had considerable interest from businesses. We traditionally lease that building out and have for about 2 decades. But some of the businesses have approached me about wanting to purchase it, and it's to the point that I think it'd be a good idea, after meeting with Blake, who kind of manages our industrial buildings and all of our industrial sites, and the staff, that we, to appease them, we would do a sealed bid process. It'd probably be on the street for about a week or two, and come back to you with recommendations on whether to sell that building. We do have, I know we just bought an industrial park that we're developing, but it's going to be a while. But it's amazing how much pressure is on the industries right now for space, with the long lead times on materials and getting their products out to market. So that's our recommendation. Don't really need your approval as much. We'll need your approval if we open the bids and we want to sell the property. But at this point, just wanted to notify you, and also let the people know that if they're interested in that property, be looking for something from the city, a bid document on that.
Great. Do you think there's more people that would be interested than just those that have indicated they are? Or is there other people out there that are looking for the space?
The first step is to get it appraised,
Yes.
and it's going to be an expensive building, but I would, there's 6 jets at the airport, so I think there's different businesses in town that definitely, if we do a one-off and somebody just shows up and it's real easy to sell a piece of property to somebody for a specific reason, that's no problem. But once you get interest, really the only fair way to do it is just to tell everybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How are you
give us
going to
your best
notify
phone
them that
number and-
you're going to notify?
Oh, yeah.
all of
We're
it?
we're definitely going to notify the 2 that have expressed interest, but we're going to have it in a public notice.
Yeah,
that
okay, that's what I'm
This building
going
is,
to.
is out there, and if you're
Yes.
interested in it, please bid on it. So, and that's part of what tonight was about, was really just getting the word out.
Great.
If anybody has any questions on that, feel free to contact myself or Blake.
Are there any
That's,
other non-agenda reports?
We did the
or requests?
birthday thing, so I think we're okay.
Shall we sing?
Yeah.
I have one.
All right.
Where are we at on our salary study,
On our salary study,
or whatever we,
the goal has always been to get it back in November or December. We've got the executive team I think they finalized all of the surveys that they sent out, so the last 2 months, the contractor that we're working with has been surveying other businesses and trying to get us the data that we need to actually do the comparison. So I think we've got that. We're scheduled to meet with them tomorrow with the executive team to start going through that. So we're in October. My goal is still to get something wrapped up, hopefully by the end of the calendar year or in the first meeting in January, we can bring it back to you and talk to you about what an implementation plan would be based on our recommendations, so we don't have to, we currently didn't budget anything for it because it came about during the year, so we want to keep it as close as we can to the first of the year. So we will be working diligently on it, but I think the survey results are back, and I think we're pretty pleased with the number of respondents, so we have a lot of good data. The problem now is going through it and figuring out what we're going to do with it all.
Well, the reason I ask about that, received several calls from employees about their salaries, and we have a morale issue amongst employees. With a lot of people hiring all over the city, I think, we need to do something or we're gonna lose good employees to other businesses and, because of their wages. Can we afford that with the experience they have? That's something we have to think about. One of the calls I had or talked to, one of the employees told me raises were given out recently at City Hall. So I checked on that, and they were correct. There were raises given out, and it didn't look, it didn't look like they were for certifications. Some of these raises was for $4,700, $3,000. Now I understand we do $2,000 per certifications. I just don't know if that amount of money was for certifications. So that's why I think the problem has been in the past when employees see some of these raises that's given out, and we budget for raises every other year. It is hard on their morale when they come to work every day and do their job and they get a 2% and then a 1% cost of living. Well, this year we didn't give a 2%, we gave a 1% cost of living raise. Or we're getting ready to, right?
Yeah, at the first of the year.
So it's kind of hard for these employees to see that, they've been here a number of years and they see these raises and, they're very loyal to the city to a point, but I can see where this is a morale issue when they keep seeing other employees receive raises even when we don't budget for raises. Matter of fact, one department at City Hall, everyone in that department got a raise recently. So I don't know if any of you have had any calls from employees about this issue and talked to them about the low morale, but I thought I needed to bring it up.
I haven't had any calls for it, but as an ex-employer, I'm aware that some employees are always at odds with anything going on that they don't get their perceived share. The employees that I've been in contact with certainly have not expressed any disagreement to me with their compensation or other people getting raises over them. I think when you I know we're always supposed to listen to our constituents, but I think it's like if you get a compliment from somebody, they say you've got a great looking haircut, and their haircut's going out like Dagwood. You have to consider the source, and I think that's when you hear it from a small contingency. I think that's what you have to really evaluate. And I'm not saying that that's what this person is that you're talking about, but I think we do have to keep that in mind.
Well, here's the thing, Patrick, I appreciate your comments, but, you know, I was an employee for the city for 25 years, and you were a commissioner. And, you know, I think the employees at the low end, that the low morale, you know, they're gonna call a commissioner they can relate to. I would have, as an employee, I wouldn't have called you. I don't relate to your thoughts. So, you know, you call people that you relate to, because you know they're not gonna blow it off and say something about how your hair is. They're gonna wanna make sure that this commissioner is gonna bring it up and let people know that they are hard, dedicated employees. They just want the same thing as everybody else. When they see raises given out, they would appreciate, you know, that they could be compensated as well. And, you know, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And that's why I think it's important we get this salary study done and then figuring out how we're gonna fund it. And, you know, hopefully we can encourage people to stay working for the city, because when they do leave, you're losing a lot of experience. And when people do leave, here's another thing I hear, you know, people leave and go somewhere else, and we hire somebody in to replace them at more than the person was making when they leave. I don't understand it. You know, that's another morale issue, but hopefully we can get things with this salary survey and get it funded and get some employees some money and keep them from, you know, I don't blame them. If there's other business that's hiring and want to pay them more money, I don't blame them for going. I just know we lose a lot of experience when that happens.
One of the things I'd like for us to, I don't know what the word is, but you bring these things up, you know, this happened, and it just lays there. We don't know. I'd like to trust but verify. I don't know if what you're saying is accurate about these raises. I don't know what the, okay.
So can I respond?
Yes.
Okay, so which department got across-the-board raises, in your
Finance
opinion?
department.
That's not the case.
Well, I'm just going by this
Are
salary
you gonna let me,
study.
let's do this, Chuck,
Go
okay?
ahead. Go
You're
ahead,
throwing
Jim.
out some pretty accusatory stuff about how the city's run. And raises are none of your
didn't say anything
business
about
outside
that.
of the merit. So they're my responsibility, and I think I get a chance to say, we do not give willy-nilly raises. We do not give raises by departments. We give the raises that you authorize in the budget. And then we continue to hire the best people. For your question about why somebody would leave a job and the next person come in would get a higher amount, based on your qualifications, you are paid in accordance with our pay ranges. You may have a degree or a certification or something about you, but every one of those is an individual discussion. There is no case that I've ever been part of where we've given any department a raise across the board without any other department. That simply would not happen. And the first thing you brought up is something that you've brought up before, which is there an instance where we just give out raises and they're not based on merit, they're not based on the COLA that you've authorized, or they're not based on somebody getting a certification or taking a new job? And the answer is no. I see every raise that comes through there, so whoever is talking to you, unless you can say something more specific than the entire finance department was given raises, which isn't true, I need more information. But Don's exactly correct. You can't just come in here and say, we're handing out raises to employees, because it doesn't happen. And I know it used to happen when you worked here, and it doesn't happen now that I work here.
I'm just going off the salary survey I get quarterly, and when it changes.
And if you have a question about one of those, contact me and I will explain it to you. But this isn't the place, and we do not give out raises to departments.
I'm just saying what I seen,
And you're mistaken. And please understand that you're mistaken, so everybody watching will understand how we run this city.
Well, that's your opinion. I don't think
No,
I am.
it's a fact.
I don't
I'm the
think
one
I
that's
am
given the
mistaken.
raises.
I'm just going by what I hear and what I see.
You have bad information.
I'm just going by what comes from the city when it's printed out.
I would
on salary
encourage you
survey.
to come meet with me, and we'll go through any raises that were given.
I'd be happy to
Not
do
in
that,
this
Darren.
meeting
I'd be
for
happy to do
everyone.
that.
I know you get a copy of the salaries every couple of months, and I think you're probably reading it wrong or you're misunderstanding it. Is that clear enough?
I don't know about that. That's your interpretation, but we will have a meeting.
That's not an interpretation, those are the facts.
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what you're saying is a fact. So when you explain it to me and try to convince me it's a fact, maybe
I'm not convincing you, I'm telling you it's a fact.
All right, we'll
Whether
have a
you
meeting
believe it
and
or
a
not is up to
discussion
you.
on it. We can have a meeting and discuss it.
Well, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't throw out that the employees have morale issues and then throw out improper information about how they're paid.
I'm just going by what they tell me, Darren.
And you're wrong, and I'm explaining
They're
that to you.
wrong, too.
You're wrong.
They're wrong.
Whoever provided you that information is wrong.
Well, I got it
We have
from the
not
city.
given the finance department an across-the-board raise.
You know, you go down and see names where they work, and you see who each person is in the department.
So
and
we're getting into personnel issues, which is not appropriate.
I didn't,
So-
well, okay.
I'm answering the mayor's questions.
I know, I'm just saying, this, I think everyone's had a chance to express themselves, and
Yeah, that
you're gonna
sounds
get
good.
with
Thank you,
Darren
Dawn.
and get
To wrap it up, we're
clarification.
having a salary survey.
Thank you.
We will check it out. Our goals are to take any position that we are having trouble hiring, and we will look at the salary of those. And if we need to bring that up, we will recommend that as a change in the pay ranges. We're also going to look at people that may be bumped out of, if you take a bunch of new people and you bring them up $2, you may create a compression issue. So we're going to have to look at all that compression issue, and we're going to have to recommend through our 350 employees how we're going to adjust the pay to make sure that everybody gets their fair piece. We will not be giving raises by departments or a raise. We will never recommend everybody in the city just gets a raise across the board.
And we have to remember that this is still a business. The city is a business. It's a service business.
Thank you.
And we have to tax everybody. This salary study is going to show things, and it's going to result in higher taxes. We have a lot of people that can't afford it. And we hear continuously from a lot of people, the taxes are cheaper 4 miles away. We have quite a few people that live here, work here at least, and do not live here. But this is going to affect the taxes. And we have to be fiduciarily responsible to our residents that live here. We just, regardless if we're behind on the rate increases, it won't be able to just say, okay, raise everybody up. It's not possible. We still have to be responsible to the citizens and the people that live here.
And that means being responsible about the things you say to the rest of the employees.
Yes, it does. You're right.
Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Don.
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
Okay.
Did anybody have anything else? Sorry.
No,
Okay.
hopefully not.
Well,
So moved, was it?
there's a motion and a second
I
for
think
adjournment.
Patrick seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign.
Not opposed.
Caution.